By the time the Landman Season 2 finale ends, it's clear that Tommy's future is no longer tied entirely to MTEX, and that realization reshapes everything we thought we knew about his role in the oil world. Tommy's new oil company isn't just a career move or a business upgrade. It's a response to years of being boxed in, underestimated, and forced to clean up messes he didn't always create. The finale frames this shift quietly, but it's one of the most important developments the show has made so far. What stands out immediately is that Tommy's new company isn't built on ambition alone. It's built on survival. Throughout Season 2, we watched him lose trust within MTEX, clash with Cammy's leadership style, and absorb blame for systemic problems that went far beyond his control. The finale makes it clear that staying would have meant continuing to play defense in a company that no longer valued his instincts. Starting fresh is risky, but for Tommy, it's the first move that feels honest. The show is careful not to portray the new company as a clean break from moral compromise. Tommy isn't suddenly operating in a fair or noble industry. Oil is still oil, and the dangers, politics, and ethical gray areas remain. What's different is control. For the first time, Tommy gets to decide how problems are handled, who he answers to, and what lines he's willing to cross. That autonomy is what he's been missing all along, and the finale treats it as earned, not handed to him. There's also an emotional layer to the decision that the finale subtly reinforces. Tommy's family has become more central to his choices this season, and the new company reflects that shift. Being tied to MTEX meant constant fires, late-night crises, and zero space for anything outside work. The finale suggests that this new operation, while still demanding, gives Tommy the chance to define his limits instead of constantly reacting to someone else's failures. Cammy's absence from this new chapter is just as important as Tommy's presence. The finale doesn't frame the split as a betrayal or a dramatic power grab. It's portrayed as an inevitable outcome of a partnership that stopped functioning. Tommy's company exists because trust broke down, communication failed, and both sides refused to bend. That realism keeps the story grounded and avoids turning either character into a cartoon villain. From a larger story perspective, Tommy's new oil company opens the show up creatively. It frees Landman from being locked into one corporate hierarchy and allows new rivals, new alliances, and new stakes to emerge. Tommy is no longer the fixer stuck inside someone else's mess. He's now the one building something that can either succeed on his terms or collapse because of his own choices. The Season 2 finale doesn't oversell this moment, and that's why it works. There's no triumphant speech or grand opening celebration. Just a sense that Tommy has finally stepped into a role that reflects who he actually is. His new oil company isn't a victory lap. It's a gamble. And in Landman, that's the most honest ending possible. By the time Landman Season 2 reaches its finale, it becomes clear that Tommy starting a new oil company isn't a sudden twist or a flashy last-minute reveal. It's the logical endpoint of everything he's been dealing with all season. This new company exists because Tommy finally ran out of room inside MTEX, emotionally, professionally, and morally. The finale doesn't frame this move as a win or a revenge play. Instead, it treats it as a necessary reset for a man who's been carrying too much responsibility for too long without any real authority to match it. Throughout Season 2, Tommy's position at MTEX steadily deteriorates. Even though he's the one solving problems on the ground, managing disasters, and keeping the operation afloat, he's increasingly treated as expendable. Cammy's leadership style makes this worse. She values optics, leverage, and power moves, while Tommy operates on instinct, experience, and damage control. That disconnect becomes impossible to ignore by the finale. Tommy isn't just disagreeing with management anymore. He's fundamentally misaligned with how MTEX wants to operate. His new oil company is the result of that realization finally sinking in. What's important is that Tommy doesn't leave MTEX because he thinks he's better than everyone else. He leaves because he's tired of being blamed for problems he's not allowed to prevent. The finale makes it painfully obvious that MTEX expects loyalty without trust. Tommy is asked to clean up messes, smooth over disasters, and take heat from regulators and rivals, but he's rarely looped into decisions that create those messes in the first place. Starting his own company gives him something he's never really had before: accountability that actually matches his authority. The show is careful not to romanticize this move. Tommy's new oil company isn't portrayed as some ethical alternative or a small, honest operation that magically fixes the industry's problems. It's still oil. The risks are still there. The moral compromises haven't disappeared. But what changes is who sets the rules. Tommy now gets to decide which risks are worth taking and which lines he won't cross. That distinction matters, especially after watching him spend 2 seasons absorbing consequences for choices that weren't his. Another key element of the finale is how quietly this new company is introduced. There's no grand announcement or victory speech. That restraint feels intentional. Tommy doesn't see this as a triumph. He sees it as survival. Staying at MTEX would have meant continuing down a path where his experience was undervalued and his judgment constantly questioned. Leaving